Franz Kafka, a giant enshrined in the literary and philosophical firmament of the 20th century, is recognized as one of the greatest literary figures in modern history. With his unique writing style, he blazed a new trail for world literature. The gloom, disorientation, and surrealism in his works forged a highly distinctive literary identity, and any creation or experience that resonates with it has been given a special name: Kafkaesque. To truly understand Kafka's writings and fathom the spiritual core of Kafkaesque, one must trace back to his life journey to touch the source of this literary power. Born in Prague in 1883 into an ordinary family, Kafka had a father named Hermann, who, with an iron will and a forceful, aggressive personality, rose from the working class to build a successful business empire, married an educated wife, and climbed into the upper middle class. Shaped by such a life experience, Hermann held extremely high expectations for his child, hoping he would grow into the ideal strong man he envisioned. Yet Franz Kafka deviated from this expectation from the very start. He was born small and frail, plagued by anxiety and illness since childhood. These physical and psychological traits accompanied him all his life, making him an unforeseen disappointment in his father's eyes. Hermann imposed his own life aspirations on Kafka, trying to mold him into the person he longed to be but never became. Kafka thus became the outlet for his father's emotions, and in the long-term spiritual depression, he developed inescapable anxiety, guilt, and self-negation. It was this unresolved spiritual distress that led Kafka to develop a desire to write in his adolescence. For him, writing was not merely a hobby, but the only spiritual outlet, a way to converse with his inner pain and resist the oppressive reality. Yet this spiritual sustenance was firmly opposed by his father. Under his father's heavy-handed intervention, Kafka's life path was rigidly defined. He was forced to abandon his obsession with writing, embark on the study of law, and walk a path that contradicted his heart. During his university years studying law, Kafka never truly put down his pen. Writing was the only ray of light in his tedious academic life. It was also during this period that he met one of his few true lifelong friends, Max Brod, a like-minded fellow who also loved writing. Brod was the mentor who recognized Kafka's literary talent. With his persistent persuasion, Kafka finally published his first 3 collections of works. However, the world at that time was not yet ready to understand these forward-looking writings. The works met with a cold reception upon their release, with dismal sales and little attention. This failure laid the groundwork for Kafka's self-doubt. After graduating from university, Kafka followed the path of his legal major, working first in a law firm and then in an insurance company. This phase of his life became his most tangible, real-life experience of absurdity. Endless working hours, expected unpaid overtime, mountains of paperwork, and a convoluted, illogical bureaucratic system that trapped him tightly. In this cold system, the individual was like a tiny cog, powerless to act, while the system itself turned a blind eye to the individual's struggles and pain. Kafka was mired in this reality, enduring all its helplessness and sorrow, yet it also deepened his understanding of human nature and society. Even engulfed by the trivialities and oppression of reality, Kafka clung to his original aspiration for writing and kept penning words in all his spare time. It was precisely during his time at the insurance company that he reached his creative peak, producing timeless classics such as The Trial, The Castle, and America. Yet he was constantly shrouded in self-negation at that time, believing these works were still immature. He never thought of publishing them, and even left most of his creations unfinished. This self-doubt was inextricably linked to his father's long-term negation and the cold reception of his early works, and it also lent a lonely undertone to his writings forever. Kafka's life was short and rough. At the age of 41, he passed away from tuberculosis, leaving behind a world that filled him with confusion. On his deathbed, firmly convinced that his works were worthless, he left a will instructing his close friend Brod to burn all his unpublished manuscripts. This time, Brod defied his wishes, and this defiance became a blessing in literary history. After Kafka's death, Brod spent nearly a year sorting out and revising his notes and manuscripts, publishing them one after another. In the following decade, Kafka's writings were finally seen by the world, and he rose to become one of the most influential literary and philosophical masters of the 20th century, standing at the pinnacle of the era's literature. This is a deeply ironic contrast in life. The giant who held some of the most important literary works in modern history kept his writings locked in a drawer all his life. In his father's eyes, he was a mediocre, incompetent, and disappointing child. In reality, he was an ordinary clerk, trapped in the bureaucratic system, never gaining the success and recognition he deserved. Yet in the long river of history, he became a pivotal figure, influencing generations after generations with his words. Precisely because of this contrast, we cannot help but ask, how many people like Kafka are there in the world, bound by family, reality, and themselves, cut off from their true selves and never realizing their potential? How many Kafkas have lived their entire lives without voicing their thoughts to the world, whose buried voices could have been the power to change it? Kafka's passing did not silence his writings. Instead, it made Kafkaesque a cultural symbol transcending time and space, integrated into literature, philosophy, and human reflections on existence. When people speak of Kafkaesque, they first think of the typical bureaucracy in capitalist societies, judicial systems, and government institutions. Convoluted and chaotic operational processes, vague rule boundaries. No one can truly grasp the full picture of the system, and the system itself always treats individual demands with cold indifference, turning a blind eye to all struggles and pain. But this is only the superficial connotation of Kafkaesque. Its true essence is not merely depicting the absurdity of the system, but focusing on the individual's response in the face of absurdity and the essence of human existence reflected behind this response. Kafka's classic works are the most vivid interpretation of Kafkaesque. In The Trial, the protagonist Joseph K. is suddenly arrested at home one morning, and the police never tell him the reason for his arrest. He is thus drawn into a long and absurd trial. The entire trial is rife with corruption and chaos, devoid of any logic. Joseph K. spares no effort to seek answers and prove his innocence, yet he gains nothing and ultimately meets his end with an unfounded conviction. In The Metamorphosis, the protagonist Gregor Samsa wakes up one morning to find himself suddenly transformed into a beetle, with no explanation for this abrupt change. The first predicaments he faces are still the trivialities of reality: how to go to work, how to deal with his boss, how to support his selfish and dependent family. Having become a beetle, Gregor can no longer shoulder the responsibilities of life. Drowned in endless fear and anxiety, he becomes a burden in his family's eyes and eventually dies in loneliness and despair. In both works, the protagonists encounter sudden, illogical, absurd situations. No answers, no explanations, and no possibility of escape. They do their utmost to analyze and resist with reason, trying to find their own way out of the absurdity, yet they are ultimately crushed by the shackles of reality. This is the core of Kafka's writing. questioning the state of human existence through the individual's confrontation with the absurd reality. In his works, human beings always hold a persistent longing for answers, eager to overcome the inherent existential plights of anxiety, guilt, absurdity, and suffering. Yet, unfortunately, we can never truly understand the root of these plights, cannot control the course of reality, and still less overcome these problems completely. Yet Kafka's writings never advocate giving up. Even in the face of endless absurdity and despair, the protagonists in his works never stop fighting. At the very least, they always take reason as their weapon to resist reality in the initial moments. This struggle may ultimately yield no results, but it becomes the most precious background of human nature. Kafka seems to tell us that the human struggle to seek solace and truth is an inescapable fate. As individuals with self-awareness and rational thinking, we are always fighting against the absurd world, trying to bridge the gap between humans and the universe. Ironically, the more we try to solve this unsolvable problem, the more this struggle will continue endlessly. In a sense, this struggle is itself proof of human existence.
Of course, this is only one interpretation of Kafka's writings. Thanks to the obscure, surreal, and elusive qualities in his works, Kafka's writings offer infinite space for interpretation, and their richness of connotation is almost equal to the number of readers. Some say he wants to tell us to accept the absurd situations we are in and not take things too seriously. Some say he is inspiring us to fight against absurdity, even when the road ahead is unclear. Others say his writings themselves express human ignorance of the world. We can never fathom the essence of things, nor find the true answers. Perhaps only Kafka himself knew what his works intended to express, and we even have reason to speculate that not even he truly figured it out. But this does not prevent Kafka's writings from becoming classics, nor does it diminish their trans-temporal value. Undeniably, his works have left a profound and lasting impact on literature, philosophy, and even human society as a whole. They make readers around the world feel that their unspoken true feelings and moments of experiencing absurdity are never a solitary experience. Kafka's life story is not actually a special case, but an epitome of countless ordinary people. Some are born into broken families, bound by the shackles of family affection. Some live in harsh living conditions, with their talents and potential buried by reality. Some are trapped as cogs in the bureaucracy of enterprises and institutions, powerless to act. Others are inexplicably engulfed by the guilt and anxiety of existence, moving forward in confusion. Every one of us has experienced our own Kafkaesque moments at some point in life. The reason why Kafka's works are regarded as classics is not that they depict some unique experiences, but that they portray the ordinary and universal daily life with profound strokes. He condensed the ineffable human existential feelings into his words, articulating the essence of life that touches every one of us, and endowing the ordinary reality with profound philosophical connotations. When the writer Anne Rice spoke of Kafka, she frankly admitted that she found her own writing principles from his creations. Do not compromise, do not cut corners, do not force logical consistency, do not carve your soul to cater to trends. Instead, follow your strongest inner obsessions without hesitation. This is the true reflection of Kafka's creation. His writings never soothe the soul with empty hopes or illusory fantasies, but guide people to face the dark side of themselves directly. With his creative technique of distorting reality, he made his words reflect the human existential experience he perceived more accurately, and thus revealed the most precious way of redemption: unbridled self-examination. With his words, he opened up a world for everyone to face themselves directly and converse with their inner hearts. In a letter to a friend, Kafka once wrote, "We should only read books that sting and burn us. If a book we read does not wake us up with a jolt, what is the point of reading it? To make ourselves happy? Good Lord, we would be truly happy if there were no books in the world." These words embody not only his view on reading, but also his view on creation. His writings were never meant to please readers, but to awaken them, making people see themselves, reality, and the essence of human existence in his words. Although Kafka never explicitly stated his spiritual pursuit, his works have already interpreted and reminded us, life is inherently a confrontation with absurdity. We may be confused, in pain, and powerless, but we never think of giving up. Even in the face of endless absurdity and predicament, we still want to move forward, to fight against the absurdity of the universe and forge our own path. We yearn to find sincerity and connect with each other with our true hearts, even if the road is long and arduous. A century has passed, and Kafka's writings still circulate in the world. Kafkaesque has long transcended the realm of literature and become humanity's collective reflection on the state of existence. With his short life, he etched his inquiries into human nature and reflections on reality in his words. This reflection will continue to accompany humanity, moving forward forever on the road of exploring the self and the world.